Hey friends, it's Tracy. It's that time again, and I've had some requests for some Halloween DIYs. I'm going to share with you what I have put together in this collection video. I love them so much. I've had so many friends recreate them over the years, and since my channel is growing, I'm getting new followers, new viewers all of the time, so I didn't want you to miss out on this collection video. All right, let's go ahead and get started, and let me share my sweet, cute, fun, and whimsical Halloween DIYs. This Boo Crew truck is one of the favorites of my community, and I love it so much. Now, guys, over the years, Dollar Tree has changed some of the trucks that they get in, and those of us that love that vintage truck look, what I've done is I have a pattern that you can download on your computer, and you can print it out on your printer, then just kind of piece it together, like tape it together, and you can cut this shape out of cardboard, foam board, or wood or something like that to have this vintage truck. So I just wanted to give that an option to my community for those of us that love the vintage truck. To find the pattern, just click the link tree in the description box below. It'll open up all of my links. Then scroll down to the part where you see free patterns. Click on that. It'll take you over to my blog, and then you can find the one that is the vintage truck free pattern. So this Boo Crew truck is definitely cuteness overload. Now, guys, I started with two of these Happy Harvest fall trucks that Dollar Tree used to carry, but they have since changed their trucks to these versions. So just kind of sharing you different ideas. Cut off one part, or the top part of one of the trucks, and I did have to score it a couple of times, but it comes off pretty easy. And so then for the other one, I had just taken off the metal leaf, and then I was going to try to take off the paper, but I was having a hard time. This is before a sweet viewer had shared with me about putting a wet paper towel or a wet wipe on it to get the paper off more easier. And so I share that now, or I do that tip now, and I greatly appreciate y'all leaving me different tips and tricks. Anyway, so I just kind of left it as it is. I'm using this lavender color Americana paint. It's an acrylic paint, and I just gave it 3 coats of this lavender paint. I painted both trucks. I painted both sides, on the front and on the back, as well as the tailgate of the other truck. So I painted that bottom part green and hand lettered "No Creeps" on there. I know it's a tire underneath the truck, but I turned it into a sign for my truck. Anyway, so then you may have seen me do this on my other truck tutorials. I take just some drizzle gray paint, just acrylic paint, and I just, shaping out a back glass, and I give that, 2 coats of the acrylic paint. And then I go back with this metallic silver acrylic paint. You can get it at the craft store, and I just go around and give it some highlight or some glare for my glass. And then I also do part of the truck where it would be like rear view mirrors, and then I'm also going to do a bumper at the bottom. Now I am doing my shading. I like to do this. I kind of follow the same techniques on all of my painted projects, and I love so many sweet friends that are loving these painted projects. Thank you so much for your sweet comments and support. What I do is I use a 1/2 inch flat paintbrush, and I dip half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water. And then I just go around my project just to shade a bit. This right here, just because of the colors, I'm just using a white to highlight this truck. And so I'm just going around with my brush and just adding some highlights, and then I'll go back and add some doodling in just a bit. Okay, so for the box, like I said, these are the large candy boxes that Dollar Tree is offering, and I just gave it 2 coats of the same color. I think it was 2 or 3 coats of the same lavender paint. Now for the end of my tailgate, I want to make a sign, and I have I'm taking one of these wood slats. You can get them at the craft store. I think I got this pack from Walmart. And so then I'm just going to be painting here, just kind of just freehanding this here. Now, guys, I did not achieve all this painting overnight. It's a lot of trial and error and a lot of God-given talent. And I do appreciate so many sweet friends that say that they love this style of painting. I mentioned recently on one of the comments or one of the videos that I did that a lot are saying that it reminds them of the 70s or 80s toll painting. So anyway, I will take it. Anyway, so guys, I just used my fan brush and some drizzle gray acrylic paint and just took my fan brush just to give it a background. And then now I'm just taking my 1/4 inch flat paintbrush and just doing some hand lettering, writing the Boo Crew. And I love happy dots. I love all of the doodles and all of that good stuff. It just makes my heart just happy, happy, happy. Anyway, I'm just taking the end of a paintbrush and just adding some doodles to the ends of my letters. Now, guys, I will share a free font that you may have heard me mention. It is called Gel Dotica font. I will leave a link for that in the description box below if you would like to download it to your computer so that you can maybe print something out and trace it, with tracing paper or graphite paper, and you have some of this happy dot lettering. Okay, then now is the fun part. I'm going to make some characters. Now, at the time of this video, Dollar Tree did not have any of the Halloween character cutouts like they do now. So I had to get creative. So I am just using some different wood pieces that was in my wood stash, and I am making some cute little characters as my Boo Crew. So I'm making some ghosts. I made a little cute jack-o'-lantern, and the Frankenstein is so cute. Now, for the witch's legs, I actually had found those witch's legs. It was a headband, and I thought it would be perfect for my little witch's legs for this truck. Anyway, so I love to put little, give all of my little characters just some cheeks and some cute little eyes. And I have, a very loved paintbrush that I add some doodles to, just some, just to really bring them to life. Isn't this so fun? Just watching, just bringing a piece of wood and just by adding some paint and some cute little faces, just bringing these adorable characters to life. And so I think the Frankie is my favorite. I just love the way that they turned out. And I'm so grateful to the Lord for giving me these talents that I can share with you. And I do encourage anyone that loves this just to keep on doing it, because that's our gift back to the Lord, is by doing things with the talents he's given us. And so then now I just painted just a craft stick brown. That is going to be the top of the stem for my jack-o'-lantern. And then now I'm taking my fine Sharpie marker, going around each of the characters just to give it some outline and some doodling, because I really feel that is what makes it pop. Y'all have heard me say that before. It's all in the details, guys. And if you mess up, then you just paint over it. All right, guys, I love my paint splatters, and so this is no exception. I do splatter black first, and then I go back over it with some white. All right, I just added some white highlights to my back glass. And so then now just kind of bringing out the truck, just adding some more white highlights. I really feel that it's all in the details. And so this is just acrylic paint, and if you mess up, then you can just paint over it and start over. I know it's frustrating, but I just say that to encourage you that you can do it too. All right. So then now what I'm going to do is just continue to add some highlights or some doodling to my truck, and just really bring everything out and make it pop. Into the styrofoam. I just used 2 blocks for my styrofoam. These witch's legs are from the Dollar Tree, and they were a headband. I just wrapped a rubber band around them so that they would be a little closer together, and then I just fit that headband around the styrofoam, and then actually, I didn't have to glue that or anything. I just love the way that turned out. I did paint my styrofoam black on the top because I didn't have any black Excelsior or anything like that. So I had to put my thinking cap on, and I pulled my lime green and black tulle out of my ribbon stash, and I'm going to make just little black and green little bundles using some U-pins, just sticking them in the styrofoam. Then I just added some little buffalo check bows to each of the little characters, and I think they just turned out so cute. I also stuck in a couple of Halloween picks from Hobby Lobby, and then now I'm going to do some curly cues using some black Chanel stems from the Dollar Tree. I'm just using those in a lot of these Halloween projects, and I think that this little Boo Crew truck turned out so cute. Okay, I used 3 rolls of mesh. I used an orange, a black, and then this black and orange. I only used 1 roll of each. And then the ribbons, I used not quite 2 of this orange and black polka dotted. And here is the little witch's hat. I got this from Dollar Tree, and it does come with a little hanger at the top. It's just a little string, just black string. But you know, you can put a ribbon or put another different hanger, but I wanted to let you know that they do have one on it. And then also I use these glittery Chanel stems or pipe cleaners, whatever you want to call them. Okay, I am just preparing my hat by removing the letters. I don't need those. I'm going to put those to the side, and then I'm going to remove the buckle as well. I am going to be reattaching that at the end of my project, so I want to set that aside. So now I'm just kind of figuring out, how is this tinsel attached? I need it to come off that brim part. That silver it was not coming off. So I am just untwisting it, and it has these little nubs on the end of it, and so it just wasn't coming off very easily. So I ended up taking my scissors and cutting off the tinsel for the brim of the hat. Okay, I'm going to prepare my Chanel stems or pipe cleaners just by cutting them into thirds. Okay, to cut my mesh, I just have all of the rolls layered on top of each other, and then I'm going to cut them all at one time. I cut them at 5 inches with my little rotary cutter, and this just kind of saves time a little bit. For my ribbons, I cut them at 7 inches each, and one roll of ribbon is 9 foot. And so I got about 15 or 16 of these 7-inch ribbons. So now I am just going to dovetail the ends because I like that look. And by cutting them at 7 inches, I had about this much ribbon left. And so this is how I made my bundles, guys, okay? So see how this has the edges of the ribbon? And so I just scrunched it up with the ends on the end, like the top and the bottom, not like this on the cut end, on the finished end. So I just gathered it up in my hands like this, and I just layered this orange on top of it the same way. I found that it was easier for me to do it like this rather than gathering it like this because it would slip all over the table. So then this sheer mesh, this black and orange, I'm just putting that on the top, and this has little orange running through it, and that kind of helps with the little shimmer. And so then I have them gathered like that, and you're going to get these messy edges that, you know, kind of adds, you know, just some character to my little witch hat. Then for the ribbon, I just tried to gather it the best that I could in the middle, and then just go over the other mesh, kind of like a plus pattern. And then I have my Chanel stem, and I just gather it like that. Okay, let's start again. So I just gathered it like this. Gathered the orange one on top of it. And you just have to figure out what works for you. Just scrunching it on the finished edges. Like that. My ribbon. Gonna put that on top like that. Then my Chanel stem. Let's try this again. Okay. Oh, my little Chanel stem was flipped up, so that's the reason. So I am just turning that over and twisting that as tight as I can. Now, there we go. And You will have these little messy edges, but I think that that really adds a lot to the witch's hat, because witches, there's nothing pretty about a witch. They're raggedy, and so the raggedy edges just really add what I was looking for my little witch's hat. So anyway, then now we're going to attach these little bundles to the frame of, or the brim of the witch's hat. I just started attaching the bundles to the witch's hat, just starting on one side and just kind of work to the other side. I just twisted the chenille stem on the brim. So here is 3 of the bundles, just to give you an idea. Depending on how much ribbon, how much mesh, will depend on how much supplies you're going to need. So I would just space them out. That way you can always go back and reapply a little bit more. Okay, I am sharing this little stopping point with you because this is one roll of the black and orange polka dotted ribbon that I used for this project. So I have the remainder of that witch's hat to create bundles for and attach to the brim of the hat. Now I also added a bow to the top of the hat. So what I did with that is I used 2 bundles of each, like 2 orange, 2 black and orange, and then I used 2 of those ribbons, and then that gave me the fullness that I wanted for the top of my witch's hat. I decided to jazz up that top of that witch's hat. I'm going to add some ribbon and a button and some chenille stems. I'm going to do some little curly cues because it looked a little wiry, and so I really like that. So I have a couple of large buttons here that I had in my stash, and I'm going to use this shimmery ribbon, but I was showing you you could also use tubing. So I have a chenille stem, and those buttons, I am just threading it through, the back to the front. And then I have a second one that I'm going to use through the holes so that I get 4 little wiry things. Now I just need something to wrap it around so that I can curl it. And I'm just using this little end of a paintbrush and just wrapping it around so that it gives me the little curly cues. Okay, I'm going to attach the ribbon and the button to the bow. So I have my little hot glue fingers. It kind of protects my fingers. They're little silicone fingers, and you can get them in the craft store, or you can also get them from Amazon. But I have the bow, and I'm hot gluing the button as well, and just kind of pushing that down, but I kind of want it to set just for a few minutes. So I'm going to get one of my black clamps that I keep in my craft room. You can get these at the hardware store, and just set that there till it dries. Now I'm just going to make a band for the hat, and I have just a few ribbons that I have here in my stash. I'm just kind of determining, do I want to put this deco mesh on there? I don't really like that. I have this orange and black wired ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to put that around there. All right, I'm just showing you here the end result with all the little ribbon and the mesh and everything on there. It is messy. It's perfect for a witch's hat. It's very wiry. It has a lot of strings. So I took my scissors several times and trimmed off some of those, kind of gave it like a little haircut anyway, but it just depends on what your look you're going for. I did actually add the buckle. I don't have that on camera, but I went ahead and added that buckle back on there, just hot glued it on there. All right. Are my DIY Dollar Tree wood pumpkins that I created for my 3-tier tray, or they are just cute like little shelf sitters. All right, aren't they just adorable? What I used are some of these wooden pumpkins that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I think they may have a couple of other ones, different colors. These are the scrapbook papers that I'm using in this project. These are scrapbook papers that I had on hand. You may get lucky and find, these stacks or patterns, but Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, those type of craft stores always have different cute seasonal scrapbook paper. Anyway, this Boo scrapbook paper came from this K & Company stack that I had on hand. These two patterns are coming from this WJB collection that is from Hobby Lobby. And then we'll get started on putting the paper. Okay, I just put the wood pumpkin on there, take a pencil, and then I just trace the pattern of the pumpkin. Sometimes when it's patterned like this, I'll trace on the front of the paper versus the back, only because I want to capture a certain wording or certain pattern or something like that. But then for the this one, and then for the third one, I trace the pumpkin on the back and then cut it out. Okay, I'm using this Mod Podge in gloss because I prefer the glossy look, but they also make a matte finish. And then that white thing is a squeegee I use to smooth my paper on to get out the excess. Now, I want to share a little crafting tip that I just recently learned after many years of doing, projects like this and putting Mod Podge on. Let the Mod Podge completely dry once underneath there, and before I put on my top coat of Mod Podge, because that decreases the bubbles. And so it just goes to show that you're never too old to learn new tricks and never too much of an experienced crafter to learn something new. So anyway, I'm just finishing up these pumpkins by just putting on the Mod Podge and squeezing out any of the excess glue, wiping that off, and then I will let that completely dry before I put on the top coat of the Mod Podge. To give some distressing around the edges of my pumpkins, I'm using my Tim Holtz Distressed Ink, the Black Suit. I will have it linked below in the description if you want to see the details of this exact one that I used. I'm just going around the edges, and then since this is a little wet, I just take my finger and I just smooth it out so that it gives it a little distressing and blending, and just gives it the look that I like. Now it's time to decorate the pumpkins. So I have some very large rickrack. I find this at Hobby Lobby, but recently I've noticed that Walmart is carrying it as well in their crafts section. So I am just, putting hot gluing pieces on the bottom where I kind of like it, and then just using my cutter bees. I use these scissors. They're strictly for ribbon and things like this. I have my little scissors marked. I have like scissors for every little thing that I have in my craft room, and so I will have those linked below if you would like to check those out. I use those just for ribbon. Then using my ultra fine Sharpie marker, I only use the Sharpie marker brand. I have been getting questions about that recently, so I wanted to make mention of that because it does not smear, and I like that. And so to make the bows, I have these fat quarters that I picked up early in the season when Walmart was just putting out their Halloween fabric. And then I'm going to take each one of those and cut off, actually tear off about a 1-inch strip. I like to tear off my fabrics because it gives a ragged edge, and I like that. I just cut off the strings. This is the bow that I'm going to be making. So I have one here that I'm just kind of sharing what I did, and then I'm going to make the other 2 bows. Using some glittery Chanel stems that I picked up from the Dollar Tree, I just wrap that around the stem of the pumpkin, and then I just twist it to kind of have it hold, and also put a little dot of hot glue. I have a thin dowel that I just wrap the Chanel stem around, and so that it gives me the little curly Q, and then I just kind of position it there the way that I want. So I just take my fabric and I'm just wrapping it around the little stem. But if it's not thick enough, you know, it can always be glued or something like that. Now the next layer of my bow, I have some raffia because I love to use raffia on my projects. It's strictly, you know, an option for us to use the different types of textures and ribbons that we would like. This black and white buffalo check I got at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just making a simple little loopy bow and just using my little mini stapler, tiny attacher, to secure that in the middle. And then I just layer that raffia on top of the black and white buffalo check, and then secure that with a little Chanel stem, and then just hot glue that right there on top of there. So then I just attach the bows and use my pinking shears just to trim off any of the, ribbon or fabric. I use my Stiffen Quick to stiffen up the limp fabric just a bit. Now I am using these DIY stickers that I did pick up at the Dollar Tree. This has been many years ago. I'm also using some Peachy Keen stamps that I have in my stash. You know, you may have heard me mention that I used to make cards and be a scrapbooker, and so I have quite a few stamps in my collection. But these Peachy Keen stamps, I don't think they're in business anymore, but they had these jack-o'-lantern faces. I'm thinking maybe eBay. You might not eBay. Yes, eBay. You may be able to look for and see if you can find some Peachy Keen stamps. Anyway, and so these DIY like little pumpkin stickers that Dollar Tree was offering one year are perfect embellishments for these little pumpkins. And so then I will just, finish up doing that. And then these little pumpkins like this are perfect for 3-tier trays or just a shelf sitter, just a cute little gift to give to someone special. this little shelf sitter. It just turned out so cute. It's so simple to make, guys. What I did is I have a 3x3 frame from the Dollar Tree, and it was pink. So I'm like, no, we're gonna have to dress that up. So I took my blade and just cut out the back. I painted the frame with 2 coats of this pumpkin color chalk paint, and then this striped scrapbook paper is from Hobby Lobby probably. I just cut it out to size and attached it to the back of that cardboard that was in this frame with my adhesive tape. It's just double-sided tape. And if you're wondering where you can get that adhesive tape glider, any craft store, or I will have it linked in my Amazon store as well. All right, so then I just attached the back of the frame to the frame, and then to add some decorative touches, I'm cutting some rickrack to size, and the rickrack came from Hobby Lobby, and so here's how it looked, just so cute. For the numbers, I'm using these chalkboard tags as well as some white numbers. Everything is from Dollar Tree. So I first I wanted to put them on, you know, like this, but they were too big, so I ended up having to fussy cut around the numbers to get them to fit on this, you know, on this little box. And so the numbers as well as everything is from, you know, the little frame, the numbers, the chalkboard tags, everything. What I'm using to get them to stand up and give some dimension, they're called pop dots, and they are in the scrapbooking section at any craft store. And so then now I'm just making a simple bow. This ribbon came from my favorite store, Hobby Lobby. And so I'm just fussy, you know, just kind of fiddling with it here, just kind of making it the way that I want, and just making a cute little bow right there to sit right there at the bottom. How about some boo sticks to add to your decorating this Halloween season? Now I'm going to share how what I did to create the little boo sticks. They're just plastic wrapped candy canes. I also am going to show how I made the boo sticks tag as well as the little jar. Now that jar came from Dollar Tree, and so I love to make these fabric wrapped candy canes for different seasons. I've shared them on my channel before, but this is an overview of the supplies that I use. The candy canes came from Dollar Tree. The fabric is mostly from Walmart, and or you know, you can get cute fabrics anywhere. Just check Joann's or Hobby Lobby or Walmart or that kind of thing. Anyway, so I just take my scissors and I start about 1 inch strip, and then I tear it so that it gives a ragged edge. And so then this is what I'm using to wrap around my candy cane. I just use hot glue to secure it in different places. So I am just going to do that and wrap different candy canes and just give a variety of what I want sticking out of my jar. As I mentioned, I have other candy canes, seasonal candy canes for Christmas that I have done that I will link in the description box below or in the iCard if you would like to check those out. All right, so I'll just continue to wrap different fabrics around these candy canes. I use my Mod Podge fingertips to help me, you know, so that I don't burn my fingers with the glue. Those little masking tools that we have now from the Dollar Tree would work as well. Anything to protect those fingers. Okay, here's an overview of everything I used for the tag, and I'll just kind of share what they are as I go through. Now, the little manila tags I've had in my stash for a few years. I do have them linked in my Amazon store if it's something that you would like to check out to have it shipped to you or to get a few more details. I'm using my fine Sharpie marker and just hand lettering boo sticks on here. It is some God-given talent. I do encourage everyone that loves this style of writing or wants to learn any kind of hand lettering just to keep practicing, because I know that you can do it as well. So then now I'm using my ultrafine Sharpie marker and just adding some more doodling around the tag. You've heard me mention before, the beauty is in the details, and so I do like to add all kind of different doodles and just different kind of highlighting to my projects, because I really think that this brings it to life. So then now I am using my vintage photo distress ink and a finger dauber, and I'm going to go around the tag and just give it some distressing. I'm also going to be folding up or crinkling up the tag because I want it to give it an aged look. And I kind of achieved that with this distress ink as well as crinkling it up. These are just very large Q-tips that I got at the Dollar Tree many years ago. And so I'm just using one of those to go around the letters just to enhance it a bit more. Then I do extras. I'm just using the end of a paintbrush and some white paint and just going around and just giving a dot with the end of that paintbrush to the ends of my letters just to kind of make it pop. As I mentioned, this jar is from the Dollar Tree. If you don't have this particular jar, you can use a can, you can use a little mason jar, you can use anything around your house that you may have. I just wrapped it with just a strip of fabric, and then I have some jewelry cording that I'm just tying around the jar that I'm going to attach my tag to. And, I like decorating with this jewelry cording or crafting with this jewelry cording because it provides just some whimsical cuteness and it, as well as attach different little tags that you want to have to your projects. Next up is a trick or treat sign. Now, this is something that I created using two of these little signs that you can get from the Dollar Tree. They have had them for the last few years. Now, whatever it says on it, it doesn't really matter because I painted over it, but I used two of these. This one says thankful, but I attached them, I glued them together. Yes, my E6000 is black. I didn't realize it until I brought it home and used it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, it's coming out black, but that is okay because I just need it to adhere together. I don't care what color it is. Anyway, so I'm just using a combination of hot glue as well as the E6000, and so then to get them to dry, I just use my clamps to get them both to dry. Now, I had the dilemma that I did not want to have that crack in the middle of my sign. So I was trying to think, do I want to put some putty in there? I'm like, no, maybe I'll crackle paint. So that's what I did. I am doing a crackle painting technique. Now, I have done this many times on my channel on different projects. If you want to see more crackle paint techniques on my main channel, look for the little magnifying glass and then just search for crackle paint, and anything that I've crackle paint will pull up. Okay, so I like to use this crackle paint from Folk Art, and I did get a bum bottle one time and it was not cracking the way that I thought, and I was thinking, well, maybe folk art changed the formula. So I got a new bottle of crackle paint, and yeah, it works great. So anyway, how I crackle paint is I paint my base coat with black first, then I put a thick layer of crackle paint on the top, let that completely dry, like I don't have any stickiness at all. Then the lighter coat that I want to have on top, because I want the black to show through the cracks, that is the top layer that I will put on top. So then I go back over it with a top layer, and I try to load up my brush really well and not go back and forth. I try to go with one swipe, kind of cleaning up as I go along, and then the bottom layer, which is the black, will show through the cracks. Coat is dry, then I'm going to create a checkerboard border. The brush is a number 10 flat paintbrush, and then this paint is Canyon Orange by Americana. And then I just load my brush with paint, and then I just go in this motion. It doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, I'm not going to stress about it. A lot of people make all of their painting perfect. Mine is so far from perfect. It is, not even funny. So I just kind of go along like this, just kind of like the checkerboard pattern, and just go all the way around the board until I get finished. So then now I am going to shade around my project. I like to use milk chocolate and a 1/2 inch flat paintbrush, and like I kind of do the same. I feel like I'm a broken record. I kind of do the same techniques every painted project because I just like the look of it, and I'm so grateful that so many friends does like it as well. I hope that y'all don't get tired of me saying that, but the Lord has just blessed me with these different talents, and I am so grateful that so many different friends do like the same look. As for me, it's taken me a little bit to kind of get my style, and so that's what I want to encourage you, that you find your own style and then you make it your own, and you pick up different tips from different people that you watch. So I'm just going around this block, and just by adding that crackle paint, really just, you don't even know that it was two separate blocks. So I like that. So then now I am using a 1/4 inch flat paintbrush. I do have my favorite paintbrushes linked in my Amazon store if you would like to check them out. And so then I am just going to hand letter trick or treat, because it's all about the fun, cute, too cute to spook Halloween projects for me. Nothing scary or gory or bloody for me. And so anyway, back to hand lettering here. It is some God-given talent. I do share with anyone who does like this style of lettering. Just keep practicing, and eventually you will find your rhythm. Anyway, so then I just take a flat paintbrush and just go around the letters just to add some happy dots, because those are making me so happy, and just add just happy dots to the ends of my letters. That I've mentioned in other projects, I just take my fine Sharpie marker and just go around the edges. I don't care if my lines are straight. I don't want them to be. I'm just adding some doodling and just something to outline them so that it brings out the project. So then I have to add my splattering on my project, and so I just have a stiff stencil brush and just a craft stick. I just go I move the craft stick toward my body and project the paint onto my project. I do have a separate video tutorial how I splatter paint my projects. I will link to that in the iCard as well as in the description box below, so that you can check it out if you would like to see a separate video. And so then now I'm just using, first I used black, now I'm using kind of some off-white paint. And then once my project is completely dry, I like this varnish that I do get. It's in my Amazon store, or if I can find it in the craft store. But I like the glossy look. But this varnish also comes in a satin and a matte finish. So it just depends on what you want for a personal preference. I'm gonna need a bit of your imagination. I wanted to create a cute little ghost, like she's holding a boo sign. I made a cute whimsical little face, just like with her saying boo, like, did I scare you? Like, boo. Anyway, so I'm going to need a little bit of your imagination. So I am painting one of these boo word signs from the Dollar Tree. I just painted it black. And then what I'm going to do is use one of the tag signs from the Dollar Tree. And as I mentioned, or as you could see in the picture, I have the boo on the side. And so one of the tag signs, I wanted it to be a little bit wider. So I decided to pull out one of the signs that I had in my collection. This is just a Christmas sign, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to cover it and paint the front, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, so I wanted her to have some hands, and so I have these wood pile shapes that I've had in my stash. You can get those at Hobby Lobby in the unfinished wood section. And so I'm just looking here just to kind of see what shape I wanted that would look more like hands. So I thought about one of them, like these teardrop ones. At first I was going to use those, but then as this project developed, I ended up using the ovals that were in the package. And so to get this particular sign had that extra Noel dimension on it, so I just took that off, and then I just used my heat tool to take off the sticker and all of that. So I gave the sign 2 coats of white wash, just white paint, and let that completely dry. And then I'll move on to covering the back. I just covered the back with just some black and white paper. And then I just want to give a bit of coloring to the top. And so I'm just using some paper. This is out of the same paper pad that I shared at the very beginning with the Happy Halloween pumpkin sign. It is from the paper pad from Hobby Lobby. And so I just cut out this top part, and then I just attach that just with my adhesive tape. You'll also see that I added a strip of this at the bottom, but as this project developed, I ended up taking that off and used it in a different way. And so to paint my sign, my boo sign, these are my favorite paintbrushes. I get asked about those, so that's why I am sharing. I like this pack that it's the one stroke brushes. And also I'm sharing my fan brush. You can find the links for those in the description box below, because I do get questions about which paintbrushes I use. And so I like the 1/2 inch flat paintbrush, and I'm just going to shade around my letters. I do that by dipping half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water, and then I blend on a paper towel. Then I am just shading just some white paint around the letters just to give it some dimension. To make my letters stand out a bit more, I'm using this paint. It's called Stickles, and it's a glittery paint that you can get at the craft store. And usually it's found like in the scrapbooking section, because the Stickles, it does say that it is for paper crafting, but I use it on my painted projects all of the time. And it's almost like puffy paint without the puff. It's just a paint that comes out, of the bottle. And I like this because it's a bit glittery, and so it's perfect for my little ghost character. Anyway, so I just go around each of the letters just to add some squiggles, and just to, I'm going to let that completely dry, and then we're going to paint up our ghost really cute and whimsical. So I let that stickle paint completely dry, and then I just added some white splattering to my boo sign and let that dry as well. Guys, you will hear me say so many times the beauty is in the details, and I do love all of these gifts that the Lord has given to me, and I am not ashamed to say it, because everything that I do comes from Him, and I'm so grateful that you're here, that I can share this with. But just by adding just highlights, just white highlights to my letters, just brings out the boo lettering so much. All right, guys, let's paint this ghost up really cute. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, I had added a strip of that paper to the bottom, but I'm going to end up taking that off because it just didn't look right. Anyway, so then now I'm using just some gray paint. This paint color is Drizzle Gray, and I'm just shadowing just to, kind of drawing out the ghost. I like the almond shape of for my eyes, and so I usually start out by penciling them, just using a pencil, and then I'll use my black Sharpie marker just to color them in. Then I'll go back again and add some black paint just to color them in. And just over the years, I have just found different techniques that work for me. And so then usually I do the almond shapes. I just have, where they gather or they touch at the top. And then I make my cute whimsical faces like this. Then I'll move on to the cheeks, and I like to use coral color paint and a stencil brush, and I just just kind of I like the more straight or the rectangle cheeks. And so I'm just kind of adding some color here on this board just to add some. I wanted to give her a whimsical face where she kind of looked a little mischievous. And so I know that my projects have a lot of different steps, but it is really, the beauty is in the details, and it just does take me a little bit. And so for the hands, I am using these ovals, and then I'll shade that with the Drizzle Gray as well, and go back and add just some cute hands and to complete this project. So here I've taken off that paper, and then I'm just going to expand the ghost down the side. And so then here I will start drawing my little mischievous smile. I was kind of going for, like I said, a mischievous smile, just to, kind of where she is like, boo, did I scare you? That was kind of what I had envisioned in my mind. And so that's just what I'm doing. I'm just taking my black Sharpie marker and just kind of just letting it flow as I was inspired, just to kind of make it this little mouth. And then I'll go back and enhance, it with some paint. I start out with a pencil or either my black Sharpie marker, and then I'll go back and fill it in with some paint. And then for the white of the eyes, I like to use just a round brush and just make like a comma into the eyes. And I really feel like just by shaping your eyes will just depend on what your facial expression kind of looks like, or which way the face is like looking. And so I just do that just with a round paintbrush. I also like to add just a small nose as well as some eyebrows. I'll go back and enhance the mouth with some white paint. And I'm just going to doodle up with my black Sharpie marker and just different enhancements just by adding the paint to create this whimsical face. I just created a small messy bow just to give her a bow at the top. And I punch a hole with my crocodile. You can get these at the craft store, or I do have them linked in my Amazon store. And just using that pipe cleaner, I kind of attach it in that hole and secure it like that. I find that it just gives a bit extra security, and then I just glue it in place. And I just glued everything down just with just my glue, and she just turned out so cute. I did go back and add just a small piece of that paper to the edge, and she is going to look so cute. I just painted her up, just a little bit mischievous. I took one of those already cute little ghosts from Dollar Tree and repainted it into this cute little ghost that I just love so much. So let me show you how I painted up this little ghost. All right, so I'm starting here with one of those ghosts from the Dollar Tree, and even though she's already cute, I wanted to transform it a little bit, so I'm just taking off the boo of the with the letters, and I'm really struggling with this, and so I mean this is really glued on tight. This scrapbook paper is from Hobby Lobby. I've had it in my stash for many years. It was a Paper Studio brand. I got it on sale. I'm not quite sure if it is still available, but it was cute and I wanted to use it. So now I am just putting a layer of Mod Podge to attach or adhere my scrapbook paper to my ghost. I kind of work in sections. I found that that works better for me. So I just kind of put the Mod Podge on and then smooth it out with my squeegee and let that completely dry before I put a layer of Mod Podge on the top of the scrapbook paper. So then now I'm going to use my Waverly white chalk paint and give this little ghost 2 coats of the chalk paint. The inspiration for this project is linked in the description below. I was inspired when I saw something on Pinterest because I wanted to make a cute little ghost, so look in the description box. To enhance my ghost a little bit more, I'm going to do some shading. And so I have some gray acrylic paint here, and I have a flat paintbrush. I dip half of my brush in water, the other half in paint, and then I smooth it out on a paper towel, blending it there. And then I just go around the ghost and give her, just some character to kind of bring her to life. Now I have a stencil brush and some coral colored paint, and I'm just stippling on some little cheeks because I like to put little cheeks on my projects. And then I cut a triangle out of a piece of cardstock, and I am just tracing it on my little ghost here to create the banner. And then I'm going to take some orange paint. This one is a Spiced Pumpkin by Americana, and I just paint the banner. I ended up using 3 coats of the orange paint to completely cover, or to get the coverage that I wanted. Okay, this next video is sharing how I created some jack-o'-lanterns, some rustic jack-o'-lanterns. This was part of a Facebook Live that I did, and I just wanted to include it here in this whimsical, cute faces country video because it is one of my favorites and it is very popular on my Facebook page. So what I was starting with is I have some of these picket fence boards that were old and weathered. I think my brother and sister-in-law were going to throw them out, and they said, "Hey, do you want them?" And I said, "Absolutely," because I can craft with them. And so I decided to take some of these and turn them into some rustic jack-o'-lanterns. So I had my husband cut them down because, you know, they were like the fence board size. So what I did is I'm doing a crackle on some of them, or well, all of them. What I did is I gave it a base coat of black paint, and then I used the crackle medium. Now that is something that I choose to use. You can get it at the craft store, or I do have it listed in my Amazon shop. And some people use Elmer's glue, and if that works for you, that's wonderful. So to heat, to speed up the process, I just use my heat tool. And so then once that was dry, I'm just using some pumpkin color chalk paint, and that is what I'm using for the top coat because I wanted that black coat underneath to shine through the crackle. So I gave it a coat of the pumpkin for all of them, and so then my cracks were starting to show through, and then we're in business and we're ready to get to the fun part. Once that was all dry, then I made my eyes and my cute little faces the way that I love to, like my eyelashes and my my eyebrows, and made the nose. And then for the mouth, what I did is I just did the jack-o'-lantern cut out, with the cute little faces and that kind of thing, guys. I love this so much. Oh, for the cheeks, I just use some, I will put the color that I use because I will have to look it up, but it is a maroon color that I use with my stencil brush for my cheeks. And of course, I do all my doodling with my white paint as well as my black Sharpie marker, just doodling it up, giving it some character because, of course, like I always say, the beauty is in the details. I will have a link in the description box below that link to the original video so that you can hear in real time. You can fast forward or whatever and pick up some of the things that I'm saying in the video, kind of like where I got some of the supplies that I'm using, and just kind of what I'm doing as far as decorating the top with some pip berries as some cute little ribbon and just all of that fun stuff. Now I will have a picture here that shows the completed jack-o'-lantern little family, and I think that they are just so cute. I am not about scary Halloween. I do very little Halloween, but if I do participate in an event or do something, it's always cute and fun and non-scary. Creating this cute Happy Halloween sign. Now I started with one of these slatted boards from the Dollar Tree plus items. It was $3. I'm also using this scrapbook paper from this cute pad that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. I took off the jute hanger. Later I'll share how I created a cute ribbon hanger for this sign. And so to help myself, I just used my knife as well as my needle nose pliers just to get out those staples. So what I did is I just painted the sides and the back of the this sign with a black paint. And if you cannot find this sign, if you want to make something similar, you can get small boards like this from any home improvement store, Home Depot, Lowe's, that kind of thing. I also understand that Dollar Tree has some different wood items now, so I'm excited about that. So what I did is I just cut my paper to size, and to attach it, I'm just using some Mod Podge. This cute pumpkin sign is something that I have had in my collection. I think I got that a few years ago from the 99-cent store, but there are so many different pumpkin shapes that this is just painted orange. It has black polka dots on it, and you can, create different signs like this. Okay, so the first thing that I did is take off that bow, and then now I'm adding some doodling to this because this pumpkin is already cute, but I want to country charmify it or Tracyfy it. And I love my happy dots, I love my doodles, I love my paint splatters, and that is what I am just going to just spruce this sign up just a bit. And so I just took my black Sharpie marker and just doodled around the edges. I also took that same marker and just went around the Happy Halloween lettering just to enhance it a bit. I feel that the black Sharpie marker just does make your things or your painted or my painted projects pop. And so then now I'm just taking a thin liner brush and I went around the edges of the pumpkin just to add some squiggly lines or some doodling. And so then just now to bring the polka dots out, I am just going around each of the polka dots just to add a comma or a little swoosh just to bring them out. And so now I'm going to do some paint splattering. This is what you will find here on my channel. We love our happy dots, we love our paint splatters, and we love our doodles and our squiggly lines. And I'm so thankful that so many friends love it as well. If you're new here, welcome. I love to share the God-given talents that the Lord has given to me, and I am so grateful that so many like-minded friends love this look as well. Anyway, to paint splatter, I just have a stiff brush and a stick, and I just run it over my paintbrush just to project the paint onto the project. I make sure my table and everything is covered because it does get a little bit messy anyway, but I do black and then I follow it up with white. For extra cuteness, I'm just adding some Halloween themed fabric to wrap around the stem of the pumpkin. Now this fabric I did pick up from Walmart. It's like they're fat quarters, and just so cute with the orange and the black. And so just wrap that around the stem. So then I'm using this gingham ribbon from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to make a hanger for this sign. And this is how this turned out. I just glued it to the back. And everything is just nice and secure there. And so then I just painted some tumbling tower blocks black, and that is going to give me the dimension that I like for my projects. So I just secured everything down with some E6000 as well as some hot glue. So now I'm going to make a messy bow or a junk bow. So I just pulled out some Halloween themed fabric that I had in my stash. The majority of it came from Walmart. And so I just ripped off pieces and then cut those down to about probably 4 inches. And so then I have different kind of trims and ribbon pom-poms, different, kind of just whimsical trims. I just have a pipe cleaner that I'm going to secure everything together and make it nice. I like to twist it around and make it really, really tight on the back because then my bow pops. Some friends have shared that they also use zip ties, but I find for myself, pipe cleaners work the best. And so then I just glued that bow right there to the top of the pumpkin. I also added a small gingham bow like I did with the hanger just to the top as well. Just made a 2-loop bow, and it just turned out so cute. I just love this so much. Just by layering a couple of signs, you can make a cute sign. I'm making a vintage layered trick-or-treat sign. Now the wooden sign came from the Dollar Tree, and here are all of the paint colors that I'm using. I'm going for a candy corn kind of painted feel with this. So if you are interested in the paint colors, you can go back and screenshot or watch which paint color I used for which letter, because I was going for a candy corn look. So the jack-o'-lanterns, I painted a different orange. I think that was spiced pumpkin. And so this is how the letters, I just, I didn't want to bore you with painting the letters because it did take a bit of time. And so now to add some distressing, or just to add some shadowing, just using my Vintage Photo Distress ink. And you can get this at any craft store, or I do have it linked in my Amazon store. And I like to use this for, just to bring depth to my projects. And so now what I'm doing is I have this set of brushes that I picked up from Michael's, and it has different foam brushes in it as well as some small circle brushes. And so I'm using this very small one. I think it's probably like 1/4 of an inch, and or maybe a quarter of an inch. And so I'm just making some polka dots on the black part of the sign. And so then now what I'm doing is just taking the end of my paintbrush and adding some orange dots to all of the white painted letters, just to add some character to my whimsical trick-or-treat, whimsical vintage kind of sign. For my yellow or my gold part of the letters, I just took a liner brush and freehanded some stripes down, just adding some lines just for decoration. For the orange painted letters, I'm just adding I'm just using my black Sharpie marker and just doing some wavy lines just to, give these letters just some whimsical character. And I was kind of going for like a rickrack pattern, but anyway, it is what it is. It's, they're not perfect, but I'm not a perfect painter. I really just feel that the beauty is in the details. If you've been with me for a while, you've heard me say that. If you're new here, I'm so glad that you're here and blessed by your presence. I love to share painted items like this, as well as all of these signs that I'm creating today are going to go into a wreath. I do also design wreaths locally. I sell them in my hometown. And so I like to share for inspiration here on my channel. And I'm so glad that you're here. And so then now to add a bit of pop, I like to outline all of my painted projects with my black Sharpie marker, and I use the Fine Sharpie brand. as my favorite. That's my favorite Sharpie marker to add to my painted projects, because I really do feel that the beauty is in the details and it makes my painted projects pop. I do kind of follow these same like painting techniques in my projects because it is what I like, and I like to add some squiggly lines to my painted projects as well. My projects, my videos are jam-packed with lots of little bitty details that add up to a very cute sign that I become so happy with, and so grateful that the Lord has given me these talents that I can share here with so many country like-minded friends. I am so glad that you're here. So then now I'm just adding some paint splattering as well. I like to use just some brown covered paper that I got from Hobby Lobby just to cover my area, because guys, if you paint splatter, it's going to get messy. It is. So just protect your project or protect your table or your work area either with placemats or some kind of covering, tablecloths, that kind of thing. And so I just now am just taking some of that gingham ribbon that I got from Hobby Lobby and just tying it around the stem of the pumpkin, and just to give it, you know, just that bow on top of that little jack-o'-lantern. All of my projects today are layered projects, and I'm going to be using them for wreath attachments for the wreaths that I make, but you could easily transfer them into a door hanger or a sign that you want to have, just something cute, like I said, to hang on the wall or door, or even a shelf sitter. Just so cute. Okay, so for this next sign for the layering, I'm just using one of these 14-inch just plywood wood signs that I get from Hobby Lobby, and they're, like I said, 14 inches. And then I also have this brown paper, and I think I got this paper at Home Depot, and it comes in a roll, and so I just tore off a piece of that and then just traced out the circle. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of sticking with the vintage theme of this trick or treat sign. So I crumbled up my it's almost like a brown paper bag kind of paper feel, and so then I have it where it kind of looks I don't know, just crinkled and that kind of thing. And just to enhance those crinkles a bit, I'm just taking that vintage photo ink and just going around the entire like crumpled up paper, just to highlight and, you know, just bring out some color into this paper bag. And so then for my sign, I go around the edges of it because I don't want any of the raw wood to be showing. And I go in a bit, maybe about 1/4 of an inch into the sign. That way, if I get my paper off a bit, when I stick it on there, it doesn't, you know, look odd that any of the bare wood is showing. And to secure it down, I just use some Mod Podge, and I like to work in sections. I will, you know, smooth it out, use my roller as well as the Mod Podge, just to make sure that everything is nice and secure. Okay, so to add a bit more, I just have this rickrack that I got from probably Hobby Lobby, and just added that on there to the sign. And then to stick down my sign, I'm adding some dimension because these are layered signs that I'm going to be incorporating into some wreaths. But I wanted to give you some ideas, you know, that you could make for home decor. You could make door hangers out of it, make a shelf sitter, or make a wall sign for yourself. Anyway, so I have all of that, you know, glued down my rickrack. And to attach my sign, I'm also using some tumbling tower blocks, and just painted those black, and I just kind of put them on the back of the sign where, you know, no one would kind of see them. And so then I glued those down also with some E6000 as well as some hot glue. Okay, then to add a bit more, I'm adding just some white polka dots to my rickrack, and this is a great way to kind of dress up your rickrack if you don't want it to be, you know, just a solid color. Okay, for the next sign, this is a more it's different shape of pumpkin. It has trick or treat on it, which is perfect for the Halloween season. And this could be easily recreated. Like I said, I picked these up a few years ago. I had them in my stash, and so but they would be, just so fun to recreate. And what I'm doing is I took my fine Sharpie marker, just going around like I did with the Happy Halloween. But for this trick or treat, I'm not being too precise, like outlining the letter. I'm just kind of hitting it just a little bit away from the letter. And I kind of like that look as well. I'll go around the edges just to give it some extra doodling. Next, I'm going to get my liner brush and some white paint, and I'm just going to do some highlight on the letter just to kind of bring it out a bit more. And just by adding just the outline of the black marker as well as just doing the white, I really feel that it just brings out the word and just really makes it stand out and pop. I'll do the same thing with my splattering. I make sure that my table or surface is covered, and I do the black first, and then I will go back and I will do the white. Now I'm going to share how I made this wreath, and I'm going to slow the process down because I've been getting some questions about how I do my base. And so when I'm working with a 21-inch mesh, this is what I do to put on the base. And so I have this 21-inch black mesh. I think this came from Walmart. I have a 14-inch wire frame as well as some black pipe cleaners. So I let the 21-inch mesh drop down, and so then I gather it there at the top, and then I'm going to put on a pipe cleaner. And like I always start at the bar, like where the two in the inner wires, I just thread it through, or just, hook it through that. And then I will put my mesh in between there, and then I will twist it so that it stays. I don't twist it tight because I'm going to be putting in more stuff. I'm going to put in my ribbon and all that kind of stuff. So I just twist it so that it stays. So it looks just like that. And so then I choose to gather it across and then go down and put another pipe cleaner in there. And the reason that I do this is because I put signs on it. And so then I don't want it to have a hole. I have something like a cushion for my sign to be, attached to if I need it to be. And so then what I'm doing now is I just take the mesh, I gather it, and another pipe cleaner, and then I'm working on the inner ring, and then I twist that so that it stays. So then I have one pipe cleaner attached at the top and then one down. So then I I'm still working on the inner ring. So I make a poof, and it's probably around 8 inches. And so I kind of measure it out here, and sure enough, it's about 8 inches. I pull that, and then I usually work where I gather it on the where the bar is, where the sign or the wire frame kind of attaches. I'm working on the inner ring. And so then I just put my pipe cleaner there, and then I'll continue to do my poofs, around 8-inch poofs all the way around. Now, when I get to where the top is, I'm going to untwist that and then put that poof in there and continue to work around. And then once I get to the other side, then I'm going to drop down and then make a little bit larger poof, maybe like 9 inches, to go around the outer wire of the ring. Now that I have the top ring or the inner ring, all the poofs there, I choose to drop down. I like to work on the inner ring first, and then I go to the outer ring. Every wreath maker is different, and so it just really depends on, you know, people need to find their groove as to what works for them. Once I finish this, putting this on, I will have 12 ties on this, and I will tell you a little bit later in the video how I go back and add 6 more to have a total of 18 like ribbons on here. Anyway, so now I'm just, when I get to the end, I just cut it off. I usually use scissors, but I didn't have those handy, so I used my rotary cutter. And so then these are the 10-inch mesh that I'm using in this wreath. They either came from Hobby Lobby or Craft Outlet. I'm not quite sure where I got that orange from, but orange mesh you can get anywhere. And so my favorite way to do this is just roll these out 2 together, and I just cut it off. I'm cutting these at 14 inches, and then I'm going to share how I make my cruffles to put on my wreath. To make my cruffles, that's what I call them, I just flip the ends over, gather it in the middle, and just secure it with a little clip. And so this one, I thought I was going to do 2, but then I remembered, oh yes, you cut these at 14 inches so that you can do 3. And so I do that on all of those. I just take the mesh, bend over one end, I flip it 3 times, and then I clip it, and then I move on to the other side, bend it, and then, you know, gather it in the middle and then clip it. I'm going to put these 2 together. I make like an X pattern, and that is what's going to go into the bundles. And so since I have 12 ties, I am going to do 6 of each of these, and then I'm going to alternate them on this wreath. And so then, like I said, I just gather it 3 times, clip it, and then flip it, gather it 3 times, or turn it over 3 times, clip it, gather it in the middle, and then flip it, and then turn it over. And it kind of makes like a cruffle, I guess. It's not a ruffle, but it's not a curl either. It's the cruffle. Anyway, so I'm just going to have those attached just like that. All right, so then now like I said, I have 12 ties in here, and so I'm just going to alternate them. I'm going to start, I usually start in the inner ring, and I put 1 bundle in there, and then I'll just keep alternating them, 1 on top, 1 on the bottom, 1 on top, 1 on the bottom, until I get all the way around the wreath. And then once I get to this point and I'm putting in, alternating the mesh, the 10-inch mesh, in between those two mesh, I have what I consider a hole. And so that is going to be filled by more ribbon. And I'll show you that a little bit later into the video, but this is my process of how I do these wreaths like this when I work with 21-inch mesh, and I put them on the frame, and then I fill everything in with cute ribbon. As I finish putting on this last bundle of the 10-inch mesh, I'll share, like, when you look at it like this, I can see like all the like where the black is, and that is what I'm going to fill in the ribbon. Okay, here are the ribbons that I'm using. They either came from Craft Outlet, the Wreath Shop. I think one of them came from Amazon. These came from Craft Outlet. I cut the black and white. I cut the 2.5 inch at 13 inches and the 1.5 at 12 inches. And I like that combo because the 12-inch cut it a little bit shorter. I like the way that it lays a little bit better. And so then I use my tiny attacher to put the little staple in there, and I can gather it really easy. This candy corn ribbon came from the Wreath Shop, and what I did is I measured it out at 30 inches and I dovetailed the edges, and then I just made a loop, and probably about a 3-inch loop, and then I used my tiny attacher to put a little staple in the middle so that I can gather everything together. Now I get questions if you can use a regular staple. Absolutely, but I like the little tiny staple so that it doesn't get in my way, so that I can gather everything together and I can secure it into my wreath. I'm also using some of this tubing that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. It's in the color orange. I'm going to make some loops of that to put into some of the ribbon. To secure that, I'm going to be using these orange Chanel glittery stems. And so this is how I put my ribbon in my wreath. So I put that tubing, I just made 4 loops, 2 on each side, and I just put that ribbon in there, and I put that candy corn ribbon in there and into the middle. And so like where the tubing is, I just use that Chanel stem, that glittery Chanel stem, to secure everything. And so I know that the camera does not, you can't get in there really good, but that's what I did, is I just secured it like where that black is, where I said I consider the holes. That's where I put the ribbons and the candy corn ribbon, the tubing, and the glittery stem. I just attached it and used that for my pipe cleaner. I use these cable ties to glue to the back of the sign, and as well as some pipe cleaners, and that's what I attach the sign to my wreaths. I usually attach the sign to the wire form, but anything else, I'll share that in just a bit as well. So then now I'm just going to make a messy bow for the top of my pumpkin. Actually, what I did is I covered the stem of my pumpkin just with black burlap that I just had on hand. And so then I have this ribbon that I picked up a few years ago from Walmart. It was in the Christmas section, like for the gift wrapping section. Anyway, so I just have different trims here that I have in my hand, in my stash that I have on hand. I just have some thin ribbon, some pom-pom ribbon, and then I have a pipe cleaner, and then I'm just going to gather everything together, twist it all really nice and tight, and make sure that my ribbons are, turned the right way. And then I like to twist it tight and then have it so that the bow kind of pops like that. And so then I just, I punched a hole in the top of this sign, and I, with my crocodile, and I threaded that through that pipe cleaner, and then I twist the bow on, and then I secure it with glue so that it gives me extra protection and security. All right, so these orange berries is something that I had on hand. I think they came from the gift shop that I designed for, because I recognize the tags. And so what I did, guys, is I just cut those off, and I used my Steel Picks machine and I put a pick on them. And then that is what I do, is I glue them in the in between the mesh. I have had some questions about that. How do you attach your embellishments? I make sure that everything is glued in between the mesh, in between the layers. There's not really a whole lot that it's there to stick to. So I just make sure that everything is good. I'm not saying that you need to go out and invest in a Steel Picks machine, but that's something that I have. And so I, use it, and I use it to my advantage because it puts those little floral picks on it. And so it sticks into the mesh, and I use Gorilla hot glue. That's my choice, and so I make sure that everything is glued down and secured.